Today on Woodworking with Wes, I want to show you how to build this 6-panel mullion cabinet or display cabinet door. It has a little more work to it though because it has a bead style and rail. And when you get down to doing these mullions with the beads on, I'm going to show you how to do it safely. And that is a big trick when you come to do something like this. You always want to make sure that you're doing your woodworking the safest way possible, and I'm going to show you how. So let's grab our tools and get started. We have our door frame parts milled. I wanted to show you that this is what it goes together like, but we've had several comments asking, how do I remove this little lip here if we're going to make this a glass door? Remember, this is a glass door. The glass is going to be coming from the back side. This little lip holds a panel in, so we don't want to have that. I'm going to go over to the table saw and I'm going to show you how I just cut this little lip off real easy. We have our stiles and rails here at the saw. Let's go ahead and cut this little lip off, and we can only cut it off like this on the rails. I'll show you how we're going to do the stiles in a little bit, but let's do the rails real quick and I'll show you. Let me put them side by side so you can see that little lip there is now gone, and so when it comes time to put the glass in, I don't have that to worry about. Now I can take it off of the rails to begin with, but I can't take it off of the stiles, because if I took it off the stiles, when you put a stile and a rail together, you've got to have that back lip to help hold on to your rail stock. That's part of what glues it together and holds it like that. So you've got to leave that there. So this part has to be cut out afterwards. And I'm going to get these glued together, and I'm going to come back. I'm going to show you how I do that, because it really isn't hard to do. And so it makes it nice and easy once you get your glass cut and ready to go in. I'm just going to show you so you can make that nice and easy. Before we go further on our door, we'll get this taken care of. We now have our glass door frame glued together. Let's flip it over and take a look. This is where we cut out the little strip for our glass on our rail stock. Now we have to do it on our stile stock. I have the saw set at the exact same setting I used to cut this, and I've made some marks on my fence. This mark right here and this mark right here are where the blade actually comes up through the saw table. So that's where it's actually cutting. So it's cutting from this line to this line. These lines out here represent where I want to start my wood. And so I want you to watch. Now I've removed the riving knife because you can't do this with a riving knife in. And I want you to just watch how I do this. Okay, I've now cut that strip out, but it hasn't gone all the way because I still need to have this right here on each end to hold my rail stock in place. And I'll just chisel this out with my chisel. Let me go ahead and cut the other one and I'll show you how I chisel it out. Okay, I take my chisel, I go flush with the rail piece that I cut, and I just give myself a little chisel. I'm going to tip it up like this so you can see what I'm doing. And I just clean that corner out like that. And now it's clean and ready for glass. I'll go ahead and do that the rest of the way around. But that's all I have to do is to clean that corner out. I just take my chisel and chisel off the end of this piece that I just cut through cutting on table saw. The first piece that we have to make for our mullion is our center strip that goes down through the middle. So it's basically a center rail, only it's going to be very small. We take that measurement by flipping our door over and measuring from the inside of the frame to the inside of the frame. That will tell us how long we need to make our rail piece. According to our measurements, 28 7/8 is the length of our center rail piece. We're going to cut, I'm going to set this over here, we're going to cut that piece on our saw sled. and then I'm going to show you how I make that center rail safely. So the first thing we do is cut. All right, we're good. Let's cut our center rail piece, 28 7/8. Okay, we have our piece cut. Now, when we did our rail pieces for our door, and always when you do your rail pieces on your door, you'd have to do the rail ends first. So we're going to do a rail end on the ends of this piece of wood, getting ready to make our centerpiece. And I'm going to show you why we still use a wide piece. It's for safety. Okay, with our rail stock edge cut on both sides, so stile and rail edges ends, we're now going to cut a 1/2 inch strip off of each side. We want our mullion in the middle to only be 1 inch wide. And it's just too dangerous to try to cut a piece 1 inch wide and run it through the shaper or through the table saw or the router table. The worst accidents I've ever seen in the shop have always been trying to do too small of pieces, especially when you're cutting. So we're going to go ahead and cut off a 1/2 inch strip on each side. Let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, let's set that aside for a minute. These two little 1/2 inch strips we'll now glue together to make our center mullion, and we'll remove this stock here. So we'll remove the center piece here and these two wings, so it'll only be this front part thickness. Now let me go ahead and do that and then show you after I have it all glued together what it looks like. So let me go ahead and get that glued together, and we'll just clamp it, glue that joint, and that will create our center mullion that will be right here. Okay, we're getting ready to put our mullions in. Here's our center mullion glued together. I wanted to show you what I did is I just took the 2 halves that I cut. This is the smaller one that's going to be used, and I just glued it together with some small F clamps. It's like that. So I had glued this together the same way. I puttied it down the top of the seam where the seam was just to make sure that it was filled, and just took a sanding block and sanded it off. To remove this back piece, I just took my utility knife, put it on the inside of the groove, underneath at the top side of the groove, and I just ran my utility knife along there like that. And that allowed this piece, let's see if that's ready to come off. Not quite yet. So I do it on both sides. Okay, and we'll just continue to cut along that on the underneath side where that groove meets the little top molding piece. So just like that, and it starts to come loose like that. Okay, it's not quite ready yet. Let me finish getting this cut off and then I'll show you. Okay, take the bottom part off. There we go, like that. And I'll go ahead and sand that and clean that up. But you can see how this will now fit. I've got a little glue in here. I've got to clean that up. But let me turn around here and see if see how there's a little glue right there on the inside of that cove. I've got to clean that off like that. Okay, so that it fits on this bead, and it will fit just like that. You can even see I've got marks here where that centers it. So this is going to go here, and we'll glue it top and bottom. And then these pieces, when they're done, they will go from here to here. Let me go ahead and get this center piece put in and our other pieces ready to go, and I'll come back and show you how those go in. We have the center mullion glued in, and now we're getting ready to put in the side ones. I just want to show you. Now, we did the same thing. We cut off the back and sanded the little pieces off so that we have a nice flat back. This is where our glass will sit on the back side of this, and our mullions will sit on the front. And how we glue the mullions in is we just put a dab of glue, just not much, because we don't want any squeeze out to speak of. There'll be a little maybe, but we want to be able to clean it up very easy. And so the mullion fits in there. I've made my marks on there. You can see where my pencil marks are. And I line it up just like that with my pencil marks. And it's glued in. And then we just work from side to side. And it just sits there until the glue dries. The pressure is the tightness of the joint itself, and there is a little bit of pressure that makes the joint tight. See how I have to kind of push that in? That pressure is what makes the glue fit right where it's supposed to. So we just line everything up on our little pencil marks, and just like that. And so I'll go ahead and get these other two glued in. We'll let that dry, and I'll do a little bit of sanding. Let's come back and see how it looks. Okay, we have our door all complete. I put it on this darker background so that you can see it a little better. You can see how we've got all of our spacing correct. All 6 of these windows are the same size. I want to turn it over and show you, but you can use one piece of glass, and one piece of glass will make the windows for all of them. And it will give you a really nice decorative door when you build a cabinet that you want to see through and see this stuff inside. Great little china cabinet door, great little bookcase door so you can see your books, keep them clean but see them. This is a wonderful addition to your repertoire. It takes a little skill, little time, but you can do it. I know you can, because I just showed you how on Woodworking with Wes.